the 1980s, Nintendo had a real knack for bringing us pure gold in the form of arcade cabinets. One of my favorites was Punch-Out!, where as a wireframe dude in green hair, you faced off against other boxers from around the world in pursuit of the WVBA Championship belt. An enormous success, Punch-Out! Spawned a sequel only a year later, simply called Super Punch-Out!. I spent many quarters on these two arcades, never getting very far in either, but honestly, getting my ass knocked to the mat had never been so much fun. But it wasn't until Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! For the NES was released that I had truly fallen in love with Nintendo's infamous boxing franchise. With colorful characters, many reprising the roles straight from the arcade games, tight gameplay, and outstanding graphics, Punch-Out! Soon became a household name. And it wasn't enough. I wanted more. 7 painfully long years later, a new Punch-Out! Game finally arrived on the Super Nintendo. I remember stealing $60 from my dad's hidden cash stash and pre-ordering Super Punch-Out! Through a magazine, with the game arriving at my doorstep on its release date. Coincidentally, a day off from school. It was everything that I had hoped for and more. It is still to this day my all-time favorite Punch-Out! Game. Now, us gaming veterans know all too well how Nintendo is about keeping some of our most beloved franchises alive. And no, Smash Bros. Does not count. But this time, it took the Big N 15 years to release a new Punch-Out! Game, eventually reintroduced on the Wii. While it is a great addition to the series, I've always wondered what Punch-Out! Would have been like on the Game Boy Advance. Seems to me that the GBA would have been the ideal platform to resurrect Nintendo's waning sports franchise. This is where Wade Hixton's Counterpunch comes into the picture. Released for the Game Boy Advance in 2004 by DSi Games and developed by Destination Software, Counterpunch serves as a spiritual successor to the Punch-Out! Series by heavily borrowing elements such as gameplay from Nintendo's most notorious sports franchise. Wade Hixton is your average redneck yokel who finds himself stranded in the town of Big Piney after experiencing some car troubles. With his ride in the shop, Wade makes his way to the local watering hole where he encounters a short-tempered burly garbage man. Accepting his challenge, Wade enters the squared circle to duke it out with Rocco McScrub. This guy is no Glass Joe, let me tell ya. The controls are almost identical to Punch-Out!, so diehards should have no trouble at all adapting to Counterpunch's mechanics. The A button throws right body blows, while left punches are thrown with B. Holding up while punching unloads jabs to the face of your opponent. Dodging is also a bit trickier than that of Punch-Out!. In order to successfully evade your enemy's punches, you have to dodge in the opposite direction of the fist your opponent swings at you. For example, the pimp Sweetness loves to toss left hooks. This means you have to dodge to the right. You can also block by holding up, but just like in Punch-Out!, I rarely block, using the maneuver only when absolutely necessary. When avoiding punches, you then have the opportunity to counterattack. Just like in Punch-Out!, this is the ideal way to pummel your foes. After defeating his first opponent, Wade Hixton is introduced to the head honcho of Big Piney, Don. Don, huh? I think we know who he's supposed to represent. Don manages the best boxers in the business, and after witnessing Wade mop up the floor with Rocco McScrub, wants to recruit the scrawny redneck to challenge more of Don's hooligans. Here the game opens up with a map of Big Piney to explore, where you'll encounter friends to help you along with your boxing career, not to mention the colorful adversaries that you have to face along the way. Allies are more than willing to teach Wade new moves and help out during matches for a little coin. Defeating each boxer nets you $20, so you'll find yourself fighting the same opponents over and over again to earn extra cash. Now here's one of the flaws of the game that kinda irked me. With each boxer that you defeat, including each new one that gets unlocked after subsequently besting your current foe, you earn the same amount of money, $20. When needing to farm for moolah to buy new moves and or hire allies, why the hell would you not just fight the easiest opponents each and every time? Why should I rack my nerves getting pummeled and barely eking out a win against a hard hitter such as Gus Incubus, when I can just as easily earn the same amount by knocking off Sweetness without hardly breaking a sweat? This here is a perfect example of how replayability should have been utilized within a game. Instead, Counterpunch offers a challenge mode where after you defeat an opponent, they'll contact you via beeper, offering a number of challenges such as defeat me within 20 seconds or beat me without getting hit more than 5 times. Accepting the challenge then affords you the opportunity to earn even more money, as much as $40. But the caveat here is, if you lose, you'll have to fork over the same amount of cash. So it's a gamble. Again though, you can easily fight the weakest boxers over and over and complete their challenges while ignoring those of stronger rivals. Not a whole lot of incentive to refight opponents once defeated. These boxers though, what an interesting bunch. You got the head shrinker Jobu, who takes his angst out on you with the voodoo doll, Don's right-hand man, the sycophantic simian Killer Gorilla, and even a raver chick rolling on Molly, who beats your ass with glow sticks. The visuals on Wade Hixton's Counterpunch are nothing short of astounding, with enormous cartoon-like sprites and animation that look absolutely gorgeous on the GBA's tiny screen. And the music? Equally as impressive. The rocking theme throughout the city map is enough to pump up your fighting spirit, but each individual boxer also has their own specific BGM during matches, with my favorite being Mimi Lee's techno theme.
1, 2, 3.
Hell, I love everything about her stage, from the strobe lights to the trails left in the dark. Very impressive. These boxers aren't exactly pushovers either. Even Rocco McScrub offers a challenge when you first play the game, and each boxer is fairly quick. I actually find the gameplay to be much faster than that of your average Punch-Out game. Blinking is optional. But unlike Punch-Out, your opponent's stamina is sporadic and inconsistent. You'll rarely, if ever, beat the same opponent identically twice. Instead of star punches, Counterpunch uses a left hook and right uppercut, which can be thrown at any time with the L and R buttons respectively. When counterattacking, each opponent absorbs the exact same amount of blows. You can throw a counterpunch, which will then stun your enemy, allowing you to pummel them a few more times. Once stunned, you can hit your foes 3 more times before they snap back to reality. This is where you'll want to use your hooks and uppercuts. But if you counter with 4 regular blows and attempt to finish the combo with a power punch, it will be blocked every time. So basically, every fighter takes the same counter attack. 3 regular blows, concluded with a hook or uppercut. Wade has a power meter similar to Super Punch-Out that builds up with each blow that connects, but also depletes when damage is taken. Once the meter is full, any one of the special moves that have been purchased can then be utilized. Once you get the Map Bruiser, you won't need anything else as it's an instant knockdown punch. Another meter indicating stamina is utilized in the same manner as the Hearts and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. When the meter is empty, Wade cannot throw punches and can only dodge and block. This happened to me maybe once while playing Counterpunch. Each match consists of 3 90-second rounds. There's no dock in between rounds to give Max some good rubbing.
What's your favorite flavor of protein shake?
But both you and your opponent regain 25% of your health at the beginning of the 2nd and 3rd rounds. This is helpful as the fights in Counterpunch are all over the place and widely inconsistent. There's no TKO rule, so knocking an opponent down 3, 4, even 5 times in a round doesn't necessarily guarantee victory. Well, except for Wade, who won't get up after kissing the mat for a 4th time.
9. Knockout. You lose.
Now I've knocked down boxers up to 9 times before they finally stop getting up. This can make grinding for cash extremely tedious when in one fight you win after knocking down your opponent 3 times in the first, and then the next, knocking down the same boxer multiple times over the course of 2 rounds for the same measly $20. This means that records for time are a non-factor in Wade Hixton's Counterpunch. What's the point, you know? This could have been a huge opportunity to instill some replay value into the game, and unfortunately, the ball was dropped here. In fact, one of my biggest gripes with the game is the lack of replay value. Like I mentioned before, with each boxer yielding the same amount of cash after defeat, once you've finally defeated an opponent who was a real thorn in the side, there's really no reason to go back and fight them again. The last 4 boxers I beat just once, and then moved on. I am also not a fan of the inability to counter an opponent's special move. In Punch-Out, one of the most rewarding aspects of the game is discovering how to evade an opponent's special move and then counter-attacking. This is completely absent from Wade Hixton's Counterpunch. And some of these special moves are tough as hell to dodge, which would have made counterpunching after evasion that much more fulfilling. I guess special punches kinda balances things out, but in my opinion, that lack of variety adversely affects the game's replay value. Initially, Wade Hixton's Counterpunch is an absolute blast. Any fan of Punch-Out will feel right at home with this game, and the thrill of taking on new boxers, most of which are challenging right out of the gate, is addicting. The game has its tongue-in-cheek moments, and is obvious from the get-go that it is one that should not be taken seriously. You can even purchase silly hats for the referee to wear during bouts. This is purely cosmetic and has no impact on the gameplay whatsoever. My main issues with Wade Hixton's Counterpunch are the lack of replay value, inconsistencies within the fights themselves, and how short the game is. There are only 8 boxers to master, and without much incentive to replay the game, once you beat it, there's really no reason to go back. But are these gripes in any way deal breakers? Absolutely not. Counterpunch is a ton of fun despite its minor flaws, and a must-own for Punch-Out fans. The game is getting a bit pricey as of late, but if you're like me and jonesing for a new Punch-Out game that Nintendo may or may not give us within the next decade, then you have to try your fists at Wade Hixton's Counterpunch.